Today, I'd like to introduce you to Maria Stewart, a trailblazing figure in both the abolitionist and women's rights movements. She was one of the earliest Black female voices to speak publicly about racial and gender equality in the United States. Her work challenged both Black and white audiences to think differently about justice, equality, and personal responsibility, making her a true pioneer and a source of inspiration for generations to come. Early life. Maria Stewart was born in 1803, and her early life was full of hardships. She was orphaned at a young age and worked as a servant to support herself. But she was determined to learn and took on that task of educating herself. Despite the limited opportunities available to Black people, and especially Black women, at that time, Stewart studied literature, politics, and social issues. She came to understand the world deeply and began to develop her ideas about justice, equality, and the importance of education. As a Black woman in the 19th century, Stewart faced barriers on both fronts, but she remained undeterred. First, public speeches. Stewart made history as the first American woman to speak publicly on political issues, and her topics were bold, such as racial injustice, the abolition of slavery, and rights of African Americans and women. She didn't just speak to one audience. She addressed mixed races, mixed gender crowds, something almost unheard of in her time. In doing so, Stewart took a huge risk, challenging both the racial and gender norms of her era, and opening the door for other women and people of color to speak publicly. Famous 1832 speech. In 1832, Stewart delivered one of her most powerful speeches, where she spoke directly to the Black community, urging self-respect, education, and independence. She famously stated, "Strive for intellectual and economic independence." Stewart believed that self-empowerment was key to progress and that, even in the face of oppressive systems, individuals could uplift themselves through education and virtue. She was calling for accountability and self-improvement, saying that true change needed to come from within the community as well. Criticism of systemic oppression. But Stewart didn't stop with her own community. She also criticized the white-dominated society of her time. She condemned the hypocrisy of a nation that claimed to value liberty and equality, but systematically oppressed African Americans. Her critiques were sharp, and she wasn't afraid to call out both Black community shortcomings and the racist systems that restricted them. This bold stance was revolutionary and deeply controversial, making her a target of criticism and threats. Impact and challenges. Stewart's outspokenness came at a cost. She faced lots of backlash and even threats, which eventually led her to withdraw from public speaking. But her influence didn't stop there. Her ideas and writings continued to inspire others, and she helped plant seeds for both abolition and women's rights movements. She may have been silenced at the time, but her words and ideals lived on, helping to pave the way for future reformers and activists. Legacy. Maria Stewart's contributions went beyond her own lifetime. Her speeches and advocacy set a foundation for both African American activism and women's rights. She showed other Black Americans, particularly women, that it is possible to challenge societal norms and to demand justice. Stewart's legacy is a reminder of the power one person can have to inspire others and push society forward. Her courage, intellect, and resilience were trailblazing, and they opened doors for leaders who followed in her footsteps.